Hello YouTubers, this is SHEM. I've recently been one of the lucky winners of the Facebook competition organized by Oppo, and after a few weeks of thorough testing I've prepared a full review of the device. As usual, there is a timeline in the video description so that you can jump to the section of interest. The phone comes packaged in a special sealed card box. To open it, you'll need to pull a tab on the side. Inside you'll find a dedicated cover for the phone, a white plastic box with silver Oppo logo that contains the all-click remote, and a bigger laminated white box with the phone. Once you remove the foil, you'll finally be able to open the box and see your brand new smartphone. Just for a second, I'm gonna put the N1 aside to show you the remaining contents of the box. Once you remove a card divider, you'll find a small envelope with a few safety instructions and a SIM card removal tool in the shape of Oppo's logo. In the right upper corner of the box you will see a wall charger and a USB cable. Below, in yet another box, lie aluminum in-canal earphones with built-in microphone and remote. Moving on to the smartphone build and design, it comes with a protective film on the massive 5.9-inch display. On the top rotating part lies a speakerphone and the sensors, and on the back a 13-megapixel camera with dual LED flash. The display of the device is covered by Corning Gorilla Glass 3, and on the bottom below the display are three capacitive buttons. From the left, the menu, home and back. On the left side of the phone you will find a hidden tray that can be opened by the SIM ejector tool from Oppo or a needle. Around the whole device lies a beautifully crafted aluminum border. On the bottom, located centrally, is the headphone jack, the micro USB charging port and the speaker. The volume rocker and the power button can be found on the right side of the device. On the back lies a silver Oppo logo in the middle, below which is a 12 cm squared O-Touch touch panel. The back cover is made of scabrous plastic that feels nice to the touch. The battery is non-removable. Oppo N1 is one of the biggest phones, or if you prefer phablets, available, and it measures 170.7mm in height, 82.6mm in width, and its thickness is 9mm. It weighs 213 grams, which is quite reasonable for its size. The O-Touch panel on the back is perfect for scrolling Twitter and other websites, and it's really nice for reading on Oppo N1. Overall, the device feels very premium, and the button placement is well laid out to make it easier to use such a big phone. Moving on to the spec sheet, the device is equipped with a quad-core Qualcomm Snapdragon 600 clocked at 1.7 GHz, Adreno 320 graphics chips and 2 GB of RAM. There is also a built-in Bluetooth 4.0 and NFC. The device comes in 16 or 32 GB version, and the memory is non-expandable by the SD card slot. It should also be noted here that there is no LTE support. Oppo N1 comes with Android 4.2 with ColorOS skin in the standard version, and there is also a limited Cyanogenmod Android 4.3 version built specifically for the device. You can switch firmware in just a few clicks, and I've tested both. In Antutu benchmark on ColorOS, the phone scored 26,167, and on Cyanogenmod, to my surprise, it only received 19,430. This just proves that benchmarks don't mean anything in real-life performance. The phone performs well on both firmwares, but ColorOS is a much more customized version of stock Android, and as a result, its user interface is not as smooth, and you can notice occasional lags whilst using the device. On the other hand, Cyanogenmod offers buttery smooth experience that in return lacks in some features. I will walk you through the main features of both softwares later in the video. The device performs well in various games, and the most demanding titles such as Asphalt 8 or Modern Combat 4 run smoothly with only very rare frame drops. The Adreno 320 graphics chip on Snapdragon 600 should be able to run all games available in the Play Store, and we are yet to see a title that can make full use of its power. During gaming, I did notice some heating up on the back, but it was nothing too uncomfortable and definitely a lot better than some of the other devices that I've tested before. The 5.9-inch Gorilla Glass 3 protected display on Oppo N1 has a resolution of 1080 by 1920, which gives it a pixel density of 373 pixels per inch. The IPS LCD screen has great viewing angles and contrast, and the color reproduction is of the highest standard. It's actually one of the nicest screens that I've seen, and the 1080p resolution is by all means sufficient, and I wasn't able to see any pixels, and neither will you. Thanks to the capacitive buttons below the screen, you get to use all of its glory. The size and the great quality make the display perfect for watching movies, playing games, browsing the web, and of course, for work as well. The speaker on Oppo is located on the bottom of the device. This placement is by no means perfect and causes muffling whilst holding the device in horizontal position. The quality is not bad, but on such a big device I would expect a set of dual stereo speakers located in the front. The sound lacks in depth, but the loudness is very decent. The standard Oppo N1 runs on Oppo's ColorOS version of Android. It is still on Android 4.2.2 and an update to Android 4.3 is planned later this year, but there is no word out if the device will ever get ColorOS Android 4.4. As I've mentioned earlier, you can also install Cyanogenmod on the device. This is done simply by downloading a zip file from the website, placing it on the internal memory, then booting into built-in recovery by powering the phone off and pressing power and volume down, clearing data and cache, and then clicking on install zip. And that's it. After the end of installation, you'll be on Cyanogenmod. It does not require rooting or anything else. The software is signed by Oppo and it works just like that. The current stable build of Cyanogenmod available is 10.2, which is on Android 4.3. Both versions of software support the O-Touch back panel and the O-Click Bluetooth accessory. So let's start with ColorOS. First, the capacitive buttons. The first on the left is the menu button. You'll get app options when you press it briefly, and long pressing it takes us to the recently opened apps. And here you'll be able to clean some RAM memory. The middle home button takes us to home screen, and long pressing opens Google Now. The button on the right is the back button. Swiping from the top will take you to the notifications and quick settings panel, where you can quickly toggle different functions. Oppo N1 has a very impressive gesture support that you won't be able to find on even some of the newest flagships. First of all, you can set your own custom gestures and turn on a custom gesture panel, which will open when you swipe down from the left upper corner. For example, you can set it so that when you draw a heart, it calls your girlfriend. That's just the start of the list. The camera can be switched on automatically with rotation. You can take a screenshot by sliding down with 3 fingers. You can pinch the screen to activate the camera, or adjust the volume by swiping up or down with 2 fingers. There are also a few gestures that deal with calls, such as flip your phone face down to mute, easy dial, which automatically dials the displayed contact when you place the phone near ear, easy answer that automatically answers the call when you place the phone near ear, or hands-free switch, which automatically switches off hands-free mode when you pick up the phone. That's not all though. You also have a few screen-off gestures, such as the much desired double tap to wake, opening the camera by drawing a circle, or quickly opening flashlight by drawing a V sign. In security settings, you can set access to the phone with a separate password for a guest, and specify what apps, pictures and videos will and will not be available. Another interesting feature is quiet time. It lets you whitelist certain numbers to be able to contact you during a specified period of time, which is perfect for work or school. Another interesting feature is data saving, which lowers the amount of data used by the device, and permission monitor, which lists apps that use each permission. If you click on more in the settings, you'll find a feature which I was really impressed to find. It's called timely power on and off, and I haven't seen it on any Android device. It lets you set the time when your device will power off and then power on again. So if you have a fully charged battery before you go to sleep, you can just turn on this feature and the phone will switch on before your alarm goes off next morning with a full battery. Oppo N1 comes pre-installed with various wallpapers and personalization options. On the home screen you can set something called exclusive space. What it does is it replaces one of your home screens with an interactive widget. The photo space lets you take nice Polaroid-like pictures, and the music space is an interactive vinyl player widget. There are a few nice pre-installed widgets from Oppo, such as the clock and weather widget or the calendar. All Oppo apps are in my opinion graphically just beautiful. Click on the clock and you'll be taken to the alarm clock app, where you can set the alarm by turning the minute or hour knob, and the background image changes depending on the time. You can also choose which one you want shown when the alarm goes off. On the list of personalization options you'll find animated weather, which displays animations on the home screen. You can either choose one of the animations from the list or have it bind with the current weather. The screen transition effect and theme can also be customized. There are two themes pre-installed, one which is the standard ColorOS and the second that makes your device look like stock Android Jelly Bean. There are also a whole bunch of beautiful themes that you can install from Oppo's Themes app, and some of them are truly beautiful. Additionally, in settings you'll find lock screen settings where you can choose one of the installed lock screens or download more from the internet. There is a long list of pre-installed apps in ColorOS that should fulfill all the basic needs. The first one I'll mention is Lock Now. All it does is it puts your phone into sleep. I placed it on my home screen and used it instead of the power button. Next, we have a Backup and Restore app from Oppo, which lets you create backups of your apps and data, SMS, contacts, call logs or system settings, and easily restore them on the phone. Next, we have a calculator, the Calendar app, Clock app, which I've already shown you briefly with a world clock timer and stopwatch, Data Monitor app to see your data usage, Contacts app, which has a cool anti-harassment feature that lets you block undesired calls or texts, the Email app, a File Manager with nice visual interface to easily browse through your pictures with FTP support to manage files through your computer, and DLNA support to use with DLNA enabled devices. Next on the list is a note-taking app with handwriting support. OClick is an app for the Bluetooth gadget with the same name. Here you can quickly pair the devices and configure the functions. OClick can be used as a camera remote where pressing it takes a picture. It has a Find My Phone function where double click starts the phone ringing, an anti-loss feature where if you move the OClick out of the Bluetooth range the phone will start ringing and the OClick will also sound an alarm, and the last one is Notification Alert, which flashes OClick on incoming caller message, but for some reason it didn't work properly for me. Next on the list is the OCloud, which is a cloud solution from Oppo which provides you with 5 GB of storage for albums, SMS and contacts, and phone locating functionality. Next we have Power Manager with power saving mode, which turns down the brightness and switches off all connections such as Bluetooth or NFC to save battery. Then we have a Tools folder where you'll find a very nice looking compass, Download Manager with all your downloaded files, Flashlight, a full Office suite called Kingsoft Office to view and create Office files such as documents, spreadsheets and presentations, a sound recorder, and a user manual in English to learn all features of Oppo N1. One app that I didn't like on the ColorOS was the stock swipe keyboard. It seemed to have a slow response time and really annoyed me. I quickly changed it to the free SwiftKey keyboard from the Play Store, and that improved the typing significantly. Another thing that I didn't like about ColorOS was a problem with synchronization on Wi-Fi. For some reason I would not be notified about new email in Gmail or WhatsApp message until I physically opened the app, and I have tried all settings to get it to work without success. So now let's move on to the Cyanogenmod firmware. Installation is extremely easy and everyone should be able to do it no problem, as I've shown you earlier. Cyanogenmod at first sight looks just like stock Android known from the Nexus devices. The current stable version is based on Android 4.3 Jelly Bean. Swipe down with one finger from the top of the home screen and you will see notifications. Slide down with two and you will see quick settings. In settings you'll see various menus such as home screen settings where you can customize the trebuchet launcher. Here you can set the number of screens, the default screen, set one of 14 transition effects, then you can set various app drawer settings such as orientation or hide apps from the list of apps in app drawer. Moving on to the screen lock, here you can set various options such as the wallpaper, the type of screen lock, shortcuts, maximizing widgets, music controls, camera widget, etc. In Cyanogenmod you'll also find support for themes. As opposed to ColorOS, you'll not find a centralized place for theme downloads, but you'll need to venture on a cast around Play Store to find ones you like. Next we have interface settings where you can customize the status bar and how the various information is displayed. Customize the quick setting panel, what tiles are displayed and how. Cyanogenmod 10.2 on the N1 also supports gestures, but you won't find such an extensive list as that in ColorOS. Here you'll get double tap to wake, draw V to open flashlight and draw circle to activate camera. Additionally you have gestures to control music playback. Now let's move on to the buttons submenu in settings. Here you can set options for the power menu, change backlight settings for capacitive buttons, and surprisingly that's where the O-click settings are hidden. All O-click features from ColorOS except for the non-working call and message notifications can also be found here. In button settings you can assign actions to capacitive buttons, which is a great feature that I missed in ColorOS. There are 3 more Cyanogenmod features that I want to mention. The first is profiles, where you can predefine connections and system settings that will be switched on in one click. Next is blacklist in security, which lets you blacklist certain numbers from contacting you. Lastly, in the language and input submenu is where you will find the auto-touch settings. Here you can set features to double tap to capture image or long press to launch camera. Whereas double tap works pretty well, the long press feature is really annoying as you'll accidentally launch the camera during normal use. On the list of installed apps in Cyanogenmod ROM, you'll find all standard Google apps, Apollo Music app, DSP Manager to tune the sound to your liking, and a file manager. This is it. No bloatware or any extra apps. Just the basics for all the purists that enjoy stock Android experience. I've tested both firmwares excessively and both work well. Cyanogenmod is a lot smoother than ColorOS and does not show any lags whatsoever. ColorOS offers a complete experience with much more feature-rich software and more eye candy. This takes its toll when it comes to performance. The memory on Oppo is split to 2 partitions. The first, which is about 3GB, is for apps, and the second is almost 10GB that is available for other data such as music or pictures. I don't like this limitation and would rather have full memory available for apps. Oppo N1 has a built-in 3610 mAh lithium-ion battery. During intensive use on ColorOS with full brightness and mobile networks switched on at all times, I managed to get 3 hours and 40 minutes of screen on time with almost 16 hours overall use. When I only used Wi-Fi, I got 4 hours and 40 minutes screen on time and 14 hours overall. The results were similar on Cyanogenmod ROM, where I would get 3.5 hours of screen on time. In terms of battery, this is actually a very decent result for such a massive screen phone. I was very impressed that it could get me throughout the day no problem with intensive use. Moving on to the camera, Oppo N1 is equipped with a unique 206-degree rotating 13-megapixel module with dual LED flash, autofocus and 6-piece lens. The layout in ColorOS is pretty standard, with quick switches on the left hand side in horizontal position. There are 6 shooting modes in normal mode that you can choose from: Portrait, Night, Smart, Sports, Auto and Landscape. In settings you can adjust the top shutter, geotagging, shutter sound, the resolution, timer and switch on auto-touch shutter. Oppo N1 can record 1080p video at 30 frames per second, HDR video and slow motion video. The slow motion setting records at only 480p, so the low resolution makes it quite useless as not a lot of detail is being captured. In the upper right corner you'll find a menu button where you can choose other shooting modes such as HDR mode, panorama mode, beautify and slow shutter. The last makes it possible to set a long exposure of up to 8 seconds that is perfect for night shots and blurring out moving objects. As I've previously mentioned, there are 3 ways in which you can take a picture with Oppo N1. First is by directly pressing on the screen, second is by using the O-Touch panel on the back, and third being the O-Click. Let's take a look at some samples. Of course, the first thing that I want to talk about is the selfies. With Oppo N1 you'll be able to capture 13 megapixel resolution selfies and become an Instagram queen or king. In good lighting conditions the pictures look stunning. Once the conditions become a little more difficult, there is a lot of noise in pictures. I've managed to take a whole bunch of stunning shots with Oppo N1 that show you just how good the camera is. First, the macro shots. They look absolutely stunning and it's hard to tell that the pictures were taken with a phone. The detail level as well as color reproduction is very good. When photographing scenery in well-lit conditions, the results turned out to be very satisfying as well. The HDR mode produced a nice sun-gone image and reduced the shadows without over-processing or blurring the image as a result. At night, the long exposure mode proved to be indispensable and produced some of the best photographs that I've seen on a mobile device. The final question is whether Oppo N1 is the phone for you. It is definitely a very interesting phablet that has a great camera, a beautiful 5.9-inch screen, great build quality, 2 official Android firmwares, a galore of interesting software features, and innovative hardware such as the rotating camera, the O-Touch panel, and O-Click accessories. On the list of things that I didn't like are the lack of expandable memory, lack of LTE support, speaker location, an outdated Android 4.2 in ColorOS, and partitioned memory. Nevertheless, Oppo N1 is a great phablet that was a pleasure to use. I loved reading on it and watching YouTube videos or playing an occasional game, and the camera works great as well. Having official Cyanogenmod build for Oppo N1 was also great, as I do love to use stock Android from time to time. This size made it a perfect tablet substitution that was acceptable to use as a phone. I hope that you've enjoyed my review. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button under the video and subscribe to my channel for more content coming soon. Also, make sure that you check out some of my other videos.